Okay, well here I am ready to just about glue up this headstock on here, and this is where you get a decision to make depending on how much you've had to plane or how long your neck blank really is. So you've got two options. You can put this traditional spot where you put the headstock piece on the back side of the neck, which gives you more room on the headstock area, but it gives you a shorter amount along the length of the neck. And so for me, if I do that, from approximately where the nut is on this guitar to the end of the neck blank, I have 390 millimeters. But that gives me, on the headstock end, about 240 millimeters. Put that in perspective, if I set my template on here, you can see I have a lot of excess in that way. Conversely, you could place the headstock piece on the front of your neck blank in order to shorten the headstock length. And if you do that, you can increase the length of your neck blank. This brings mine from that about 390 up to about 450 millimeters. But at the same time it does that, it reduces the length of my headstock to the point that my template now sticks off the end of my headstock blank. So if I had a shorter headstock, or if I needed to make more room on the end, I would probably do this. Considering I need a little bit more room on the end, even though it's going to be a lot longer than I necessarily need, I'm going to put I'm going to attach it on the back side. So my first thing is I'm going to use my bench top as my flat. Okay, I've got some blue painter's tape here. This is what I'm going to use to keep everything aligned. I'm going to go ahead and stick that on the front side of the neck blank. I'm going to put two pieces over there, front side, back side. Okay. This will allow me to keep those two pieces exactly where I want them while I then turn the neck blank over. And then I can glue this area here and then stick it together. Before I glue that, I need to get two more pieces out because I need a couple of pieces of wood that I can use to clamp this together. There's one good piece, nice, flat, wide, about the size of my headstock. Second piece. That's all I need. You can use a piece of scrap, you can use a piece of extra wood that you might use for inlay, whatever it is. Those two pieces of wood right there are going to help me to clamp up the headstock. I don't want them to be too thick because my clamps are a little bit small. I'm going to use Tight Bond, regular Tight Bond for this particular glue up. You can use other glues. For instance, you could use hide glue if you want to. If you want to spend a lot more time trying to get this glued up. However, there is not that many times when you are going to want to re-glue your scarf joint on your neck. So remember, all of these were planed. They're not planed more than about 300 or 400 grit because I don't sharpen more than that. Get enough glue on that headstock. I use my handy glue spreading device, which is a finger, to get an acceptable amount of glue here. I want to cover that whole joint nice and evenly. I want a little bit of squeeze out, but not too much. So wipe that off. Right, here we go. Alright, so now I'm going to stick that together. I'm going to hold it in place for just a moment. Remember, I've already planed it so it's good and flat. So I'm going to get myself another piece of tape here. I'm going to do two pieces of tape. I'm going to go ahead and Tape 1. I'll hold it for just a moment. Tape 2. Alright, again, this is just holding it in place. I've not clamped anything yet. I'll clamp it in just a moment. I do like to put a couple of them around the edges. And flip that over. Remember, I've already planed and glued my joint nice and flat, so I know it's going to stick together good. It's in the right place. I've got it held in place where I need it. So our next thing, there's a little bit of a bow in it, won't be a problem. Just put it like that. Just to then start clamping. And I basically do a 4-corner clamp joint. I'm going to get these on a little bit loose right now. Let me move this over just a little. Okay, got one. The tape helps keep your wood you're using for your headstock in place while you clamp. Once you put pressure on it, the headstock joint is going to want to move. It is going to want to, you can hear a little popping here because I'm trying to get this piece of wood to clamp down to the neck joint. The neck joint is going to want to move because you're putting pressure on the joint, and the joint is going to be unstable. All right. So that's the purpose of the tape. The tape helps keep those two pieces from sliding away from each other while you clamp them at an angle. Okay. So now I have that clamped down. All 4 in the right spot. I have 5 clamps here, but I didn't need all 5. I just needed the 4 with these particular calls. All right. So there we go. We have our scarf joint gluing up. All right. We can now set that aside. We're done with that for today.